You've probably heard countless coaches talking about how important it is to stay relaxed on your shots. And no doubt you've watched videos of players like Roger Federer who just stroke through the ball effortlessly and gracefully. But then for some reason, no matter how hard you try and relax, you keep on tensing up when you hit the ball. Well, if this is happening to you, I'm going to help you with that in this video because I'm going to explain what the underlying reason is why you keep tensing up and what you need to do to fix the problem so that you can stay more relaxed when you're hitting your shots. Now, the first thing that's really important for me to say is that although our goal is to try and be as relaxed as we can as we're hitting through our shots, you need to understand that sometimes it just can't happen. Yes, there are videos of Federer in practice just completely tensionless, but there's also countless videos and still images of players like Djokovic and Nadal grimacing on contact with tension in their face and their bodies. Because sometimes your opponent just hits a good shot and you've got to do what you've got to do in order to get the ball back. Now, with that said, I'm going to talk about why it's important to try and be relaxed, what the underlying reason is that you keep tensing up, and what you need to do to fix the problem. The reason that you want to try and be relaxed through your shots is because it helps you to transfer energy through your kinetic chain, which lets you generate racket head speed and create power efficiently. Now, obviously our shots look very different, but the fundamentals of the way that we use our kinetic chain is the same regardless of whether I'm hitting a forehand, a backhand, or whether I'm hitting topspin, flat, or slice. If you want to think about the forehand, as I prepare, I'm storing energy in the big muscles of the legs. I'm doing my unit turn, I'm storing energy in the big muscles of the core, and then going to relax my arm, I'm going to relax my wrist as I go to do my forward swing, because then when I drive forwards through my leg and my hip, and then my torso starts to rotate, that's going to create the lag position. This rapidly stretches the muscles in the chest, the internal rotator muscles in the shoulder, and the muscles in the forearm. And as we rapidly stretch those muscles, the stretch reflex kicks in and it enables us to create a really powerful contraction to swing and throw the racket through to contact. And that's going to count whether I'm using a more modern style or even if I was using a classical style with a continental grip. I'm still driving through the legs, then the torso, arms relaxed. There's going to be a lag, and then I'm going to come through to contact. It's going to be the same for the two-handed backhand, the one-handed backhand, or slice off both sides. And the reason it's so important to stay relaxed is because if you tense up and if you tighten up, it prevents you from using the stretch reflex properly, so you basically lose out on the efficiency of using the kinetic chain, and it forces you to kind of arm and muscle the ball, which then creates less racket head speed, so you get less power, and it creates less accuracy because it's harder to control the angle of the racket face. So that brings us to the question, why is it that you can't relax? Why do you keep tensing up? And the answer is that you have a problem with your timing. Now, this might mean that you're not sequencing your kinetic chain properly, but what it normally means is you're starting your swing too late relative to the flight of the ball. Because obviously we've got an ideal contact that's going to be somewhere out in front of the body. The exact contact is going to depend on the shot and the grip that we're using, but it's going to be somewhere out in front of the body. So we need to have used our kinetic chain, and we needed to have got to a certain point in our swing before we make contact with the ball. If we start our swing too late, the ball is too far this way, and then we're trying to use those efficient biomechanics, well, now our brain knows that it can't relax the wrist in this position, it can't relax the wrist in this position, because the ball is just going to go down there somewhere. So it has to tense up. It has to tighten the muscles in your arm, and you have to do something to compensate so that you can create the angle that you need to get the ball to land in the court. And again, this is going to be exactly the same whether you're hitting a two-handed backhand, a one-handed backhand, or whether you're hitting slice. The reason that you're tensing up and that you can't relax is because you're starting your swing too late. So how do you fix your timing so that you can start your swing sooner? Well, this is going to depend what your underlying problem is. So it's really important that you record yourself practicing and playing matches to find out what's going on. Because for a lot of people, the reason that they start their swing too late is because they prepare too slowly. Obviously, if you don't prepare and set up in position in time, the ball is too far this way, you then can't start your swing soon enough. You have to compensate, you have to arm it in some way. So potentially, you might need to focus on fixing late preparation. But providing you're prepared and set up in time for all of your shots, again, it can't always be perfect because sometimes opponents just hit amazing shots, but generally, provided you're set up in time for your shots, then what do you have to do to fix your timing? Well, part of it is just the way that you practice and what you're thinking about. You have to visualize the contact point for each of your shots. Whereabouts do you need to contact the ball in relationship to your body? And then you have to think, okay, when do I need to start the swing? And what I've done, because I'm naturally a right-handed player, but I've been relearning to play left-handed over the last few years, I personally did quite a lot of ball machine work, just setting up individual feeds so then I could kind of think about, when do I release my racket? So when do I start to relax my upper body? When do I drive through the back leg in relationship to the flight and the bounce of the ball? And I would do that on the forehand, I would do it on the backhand, I would do it on short balls, deep balls, wide balls, so that my brain built up a repertoire of, okay, when the ball flies like this, it's going to bounce like this, and I need to start my swing at that time. So that's the way I approached it with my left hand. If you don't have access to a ball machine, it's simply a case of thinking about that same thing when you're working with a practice partner. So practice is part of it, but here's where we also have to be realistic. Timing is hard. You have to have the ability to read the flight of the ball, to judge the distance and to judge how fast it's traveling on a really accurate level. And you have to have the ability to sequence your kinetic chain and adjust the speed of your swing and the swing path based on every single ball. And obviously every shot you deal with, it's slightly different. And the reality is that most adult tennis players simply don't have good enough hand-to-eye coordination in order to develop high-level timing and in order to stay relaxed using modern techniques. Unfortunately, it's the reality of the way it works. And I know this all too well because this applied to me for a lot of my life. Although I grew up playing tennis and I was a decent player, I got to around a 5.0 level, I didn't have amazing timing. I hit the ball late and I was relatively tight on my shots. The reason I was able to get to a 5.0 was because I was fast, I was fit, I was very disciplined, and I played long grinding matches waiting for people to make mistakes. I didn't actually get good at tennis and didn't develop the ability to have nice relaxed strokes until I was much older, until I learned about using brain-based training to improve my vision and to improve my coordination to fix the underlying issues that were preventing me from having good timing. Luckily, by using that style of training, I was able to get to a point where I could hit the type of shots that I wanted to be able to, and that's why since I've been playing left-handed, I've been able to improve relatively rapidly and develop a decent level of timing because my visual system and my coordination was already working at a sufficiently high level. But realistically for you, if you want to develop this high-level timing, you are going to need to improve your vision and your coordination. And the great news is it's possible at any age using brain-based training. Our brains are plastic, which means they adapt to the training and the stress that we provide them with. And once you know how it works behind the scenes, you can improve your vision and you can improve your coordination, you can become more skillful, and it lets you become a higher level player. So if you'd like to learn how to do that, I've got a class that's going to teach you all about it. I'll place a link in the description. Click on that link and then you can register and learn more about using brain-based training to improve your skill level. But hopefully what I've explained in this video makes sense. If you don't start your swing soon enough, you have to tense up and you have to compensate in some way. The only way to fix that is to fix the timing. It might be a case of fixing late preparation. It might be a case of working on starting your swing sooner, but realistically, it's probably also a case of improving your skill and ability level until you have the underlying prerequisites that are going to let you develop better timing. Okay, if you have any questions or comments about what I've talked about here, leave them down below. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Much appreciated if you could subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you next time.